My name is Professor Tony Hay. I used to be a professor at Southampton University, and then I ran the UK's eScience programme, which was all about data. And then I've been at Microsoft Research for 10 years, working on open science and open data. And now I'm back in the UK Rutherford Lab, working on data science. I was not able to come last year, and so this is one area that I'm very interested in. I was on the Council for the Research Data Alliance, and data has been one of my preoccupations, mainly with scientific data, but also now with smart cities and things like that. For me, it's interesting the first time to see you've got such an international mix, and you have people from large numbers of countries and sharing different experiences. So I found that a particularly interesting element, that I hadn't expected it to be so international and looking at such a large scope. So that to me is very interesting. I did eScience, which was from 2001 to 2005, which is really about data intensive science. So I've been worrying about data since about the early 2000s, and I think the most difficult thing is a cultural thing, because data is no use unless you have adequate metadata, and then you need to know the provenance of the data, what's been done to it and things. And so there's a lot of data stored around the world which is useless because it hasn't got those things. So it's an educational exercise. And then it's actually understanding. I tend to steer clear of data that has lots of constraints, like personal data, medical data, because that's complicated. So I deal with big scientific data, which is much easier, and you can make that open and do interesting experiments. But one of the things I'm concerned about is reproducible science. You'd like to be able to go from the paper to the data in the paper to a bigger data set to other data sets and do your research all online, having the papers with open access and the data with open data. It isn't always open, the data can have some constraints, but there's also the software, which can be open source software, it can be commercial software. But you need to have all this picture in order to be able to reproduce scientific results. And I feel that's important for the progress of science. So that's my real love, but this is a much broader context. The issues I care about with privacy and data are really the security of data. When you look at the number of data security breaches in all the major firms in the US and Europe, it's really scary. And really I think that one of the things I'd been looking at when I was at Microsoft was using the cloud, where you can have really as secure or much more secure than the companies. The companies have done a very bad job in keeping things like social security numbers and things safe. I've got several letters from various parts of the UK and US agencies saying, sorry, our data's been stolen and your credit card information has been stolen. And I think they'd be better advised to use an IT company who actually's job it is to keep the data safe. So that's what I really care about. And I do understand there's potential abuse of personal metadata, yes. It's an exciting program. It has a very broad scope, and it has a very young audience, which I think is good. I'm old, but there's lots of young people here.